Before starting this video, I have a special announcement to make. It's been more than a year with Coding Cleverly, and I would like to thank each and every one of you who watched and supported me throughout this never-ending journey. It truly motivates me to make even more videos for you guys. Thank you for being a part of this adventure. To spice things up, I'm doing our first giveaway. Anyone can participate as long as you follow all the instructions given in the description. Keep watching and supporting Coding Cleverly. Welcome back to another video of Coding Cleverly. Today we're going to be talking about the types of constructors, and we're going to be talking about the different types of constructors that are available in different programming languages. So right now I'm going to be typing in C++. You could apply this concept to any programming language which supports object-oriented programming. So here we have this hash include IOStream and using namespace standard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class. I'm going to try to recreate the integer type and using that as a class. So I'm going to say class. And then I'm going to say intgr. So this is my integer. And what's it going to create? So this is my integer class. And this integer class will have a private and public section and everything. But the thing is that in the private section, it will store one integer. So it would have this. And then it would have some integer over here. So int, I'll say num. So it's not assigned or anything. And back in the public section, access specifier, what we have is constructors. The first type of constructor was a default constructor. And I've covered these videos out. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the default constructor. This is called automatically whenever you create an object. So integer, it just has nothing inside the parameters. You could write like this, or you could just write like this. So this is the default constructor, and this is going to call whenever you create an object. So over here, for instance, we create an object intgr, and we say object as obj. And once I do this, automatically this constructor is called. It would be outputted on the terminal screen. So let's just run this code and show you how this exactly works. So if I run this code, you can see over here default constructor called. That's cool. Okay, so now we don't want anything inside of it, and all right, so we just leave it like that. Okay, so right after that, we could have parameterized constructors. So this thing over here, I'll write in here, is a constructor. Now after this, we could have the parameterized constructor. So parameterized constructor. And for the parameterized constructor, we just need to give in some input parameters. So int gr, same thing, no return type. Remember, it's a constructor. The body, so the body, and then inside we could just input some parameters. So over here I put num1, and I could put num2. I could put any number of input parameters, and what I could do is I have my num, which is in my method, and I could just have num1, and yeah, it would assign that to this num. So this is how my parameterized constructor would work. And let's try to do this over here. So for instance, if I create, let's hard code a value. So let's say num1, and I'll say 100. Because there's nothing inside of this num, it's not initialized. Now it would be initialized to 100. So if I like output the number, now there's no display function, so I should create a display function here. So I could say void, and then I could say display, and then I could basically get the result. So I could say console output, and I could say num, and then I could have a end line. So if I run this code, okay, so I don't get anything because I didn't call the function. So let me just go down here, and I could just call this. So I could say obj, and I could say dot display, and there you go, Control Alt and N, and there you go. We got 100 as our output, and that's correct because the parameterized constructor worked. Now we want our copy constructor created, what we're all waiting for. So copy constructor. Now what a copy constructor is it basically a member function that initializes an object. using another object of the same class. Now, it's a little bit different, but what it does is that it initializes an object. So for instance, if we have this object over here, like obj, and we don't put any values, for instance, it's nothing. Now, what it does is that it initializes a new object using another object of the same class. So if it's an existing object over here, let's say old object, and it could initialize it using that. So you'll understand it. So obj over here. So you'll understand it when I create this. So let me just go back here, reverse that all out, and go back here and make that copy constructor. Name of the class is intgr, and then we have our brackets. Inside of here, we could apply const, and then we could apply the old function. So it's going to be intgr again, but in this case, we're going to have an old object. So I could just say, let's say old, just to make it easy for you to understand. So we could just call it anything we want, and we want this address of operator before this, because we're getting the reference to that old object, and then we're gonna associate those values to our new object, if that makes sense. Now what we could do here is that our old object is num, so num, right? Over here we have num, and we want to assign all of our values and everything like manually. So if I say old dot, you can see I could access num. So I could just hit num like that, because this is now old, and we could get our num, which is this, and now we could use it over here. So for instance, this is my object which was 100, and I displayed it. Now I create a new object. I say int dir, and I say something like, I could create a new object, so I could say new underscore obj, and inside the brackets I could put over here, you could say const integer old, the reference of an old object. So I could just put the old object obj inside of it. So yeah, just putting the old reference of the old object. What I'm gonna have now is that this has 100. So this new object's number, which is the private section, will also contain 100. So because it's copying all the attributes and all the stuff. So if I write new underscore obj, so if I write new underscore obj dot display, so if I write like that, what you'll basically see is this 100, and then after that another 100. For me, I need an escape sequence here so that I could differentiate between the two. You can see over here 100 was on the top, and then 100 was on the bottom. Now, some of the tips that I wanted to give. So this is known as a user-defined copy constructor. All right, this is known as a user-defined copy constructor. And the question here is that when do we actually need a user-defined copy constructor? So if we don't define our own copy constructor, the C++ compiler creates a default copy constructor for each class, which does a memberized copy between objects. Now, the compiler created copy constructor works fine in general. We need to define our own copy constructor only if an object has pointers or any runtime allocation of the resource, like file handle, a network connection, and this kind of stuff. So then that's when we need to use our own user-defined copy constructors. So what the default copy constructor does is shallow copy, and I've made a video of shallow copy and deep copy, so you could check that video out as well. What deep copy means is that deep copy is only possible when user-defined copy constructor is created. For this user-defined copy constructor, we make sure that pointers or references of copied object point to new memory locations. So you can see over here there's a reference to an old object, and it's pointed to new memory locations, like this new memory location here. That was pretty much it with this video. It was basically a difference between different types of constructors in programming, and I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, then go hit the like button and share this video to everyone. That was it from my side, and yeah, I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Stay tuned.